Good morning, all the nerds out there. I hope you all are doing fine. And guess what? Again, we are going to continue our session on introduction. Previously, we talked about Unit 1, which is teaching aptitude, and we had an incredible introduction. And today, we are going to continue and we are going to talk about Unit 2nd, which is research aptitude. Again, it's an introduction only, and we'll just move from tomorrow into the depth of each concept and topic. Anyway, let me welcome you to this unit second, research aptitude, and of course its introduction, and let's see what's are there in the syllabus. First, when you look at the module and unit second, you find all these topics like meaning of research, types of research, characteristics of research, and of course there are two more important terms that you often get questioned based on that, like positivism, post-positivistic approach, right? So let me ask you one thing. What's research? Can you tell me? Well, it's not just a fancy word scientists play around. It's a journey of discovery, guys, a quest for knowledge. And here we are going to unravel its secret. We'll also discuss what makes research interesting, from being empirical to the importance of being logical. It's like finding the perfect recipe for a successful research project, right? And we are not stopping there. We'll also dive into the fascinating debate between positivism and post-positivism approach. And again, let me tell you about the methods also that we are also going to talk about. And of course, we'll be exploring the different types of research, starting from scientific and fundamental research, and of course about quantitative and qualitative research. Remember, when we talk about types of research, it doesn't mean like we have like four or five types of research. There are like 20 types of research, and let me tell you one by one, just like one simple line with an example, so you'll get the idea. You see, all 20 types of research that we are going to discuss in depth in our next session. So stick to me, and we'll continue. But anyway, let me tell you about what is scientific research, right? In just, if you ask me to explain it in one sentence, well, I'll tell you, like, it's kind of rigorous investigation using systematic methods to answer question. For example, like testing a new drug's efficacy through controlled experiments. Then we have like fundamental research, where it is a kind of pure pursuit of knowledge without immediate application, such as exploring the properties of subatomic particle in physics, right? Then we have like applied research, which is kind of directly addressing practical problems, like developing a new vaccine based on scientific knowledge. We have quantitative research, which in easy word use what numerical data and statistical analysis, right? And for example, like conducting surveys to analyze consumer preference. Then we have qualitative research, and this explores kind of non-numerical data to understand human behavior, like conducting in-depth interviews on the impact of social media, right? So as you can see over your screen, we have two words, like inductive research and deductive research. So inductive research, it draws general conclusion from specific observation. So this is a very important line that you should remember. Yeah, like inferring a pattern in consumer behavior from case study. Then we have deductive research. Deductive research is simple, like testing hypothesis derived from theories, like predicting a specific outcome based on established principles. Then we have empirical research, which is it rely on real world observation and experiences. And for example, like studying the behavior of a species in its natural habitat. Then we have mixed research. Mixed research in simple word is that it integrates both qualitative and quantitative approach, like combining survey data with in-depth interviews for holistic understanding. And 10th number, as you can see, structured research. Well, by the name you can just understand that it follows a predetermined plan and design, like executing a step-by-step research protocol in a clinical trial. So I'm just giving you one example and of course one line definition of it. And again, I tell you in a later part, we can have a depth, discussion on each type of research. Then we have unstructured research, which is like allowing flexibility and spontaneity in the research process, like exploring new themes, emerging, during qualitative interviews. Then we have conceptual research, which investigate what abstract ideas and concepts, like exploring the philosophical underpinning of ethics and artificial intelligence. Then we have logical research, and then we have descriptive research. So descriptive research is quite important because it portrays characteristics of a phenomena without manipulating variables, like detailing demographic trends in population. We have analytical research, so you can just understand by the word also analytical, which is like break down complex issues into smaller components for a detailed understanding. And if you ask me for example, it will be like analyzing factors influencing economic growth. Then 16th is cyclic research. Cyclic research is simple that it continuously kind of refine and revisit research questions and methods, like ongoing studies tracking environmental changes or climate changes, right? Then we have controlled research, which is like maintain control over variables to isolate specific factors, like testing the impact of a single variable in a controlled experiment. And 18th number, as you can see, hypothesis based research. Well, it tests a specific hypothesis to confirm or disapprove assumption, like investigating the effect of new teaching method on student performance. Anyway, next we have historical research. As you can see by the word, that it examines the past events through archival research, like studying primary sources to understand historical revolution, right? And last we have artistic research, which is what it explore artistic expressions as a form of inquiry, like creating a multimedia project to investigate social perception. But anyway, that was all about, and as you can see over your screen, there are so many types of research that you should understand. And let me tell you why I have put all these, because every time you get one question based on these types of research, and this is all research based on all PYQ, whatever they have asked in the past, we have put it here. Anyway, we'll have a depth discussion in our next session. Anyway, let's move to the next. It is now, as you can see, they have mentioned research methods as well, and here we are also going to talk about what the vibrant world of research methods, and of course it's tools in our academic toolkit that help us to unlock the mysteries of the universe, right? All right, as you can see, we have experimental method, and which is kind of most popular. And as you can understand by the word experimental method, so imagine yourself like you're in a lab, possibly wearing coat or goggles, and there you're manipulating variables and trying to uncover cause and effect relationship, right? And it's like cooking up a scientific potion, but instead of turning people into frogs, you're unraveling the secrets of the universe, right? And the descriptive method is all about painting a vivid pictures of what's happening. Like imagine you're a kind of detective gathering clues and describing the scenes and its characters and of course events. It's like creating a mental movie where every details count. That is your descriptive method. And then we have historical method, which are like archaeologically for information, like you're digging through archives, dusty books or ancient scrolls to piece down together the narrative of the past. It's like solving a historical puzzle where every document is a kind of precious clue. And of course we're going to have a depth discussion on qualitative method, is the storyteller's paradise, if you can say. It's like you're delving into the richness of human experiences, their emotions and perspective. It's like capturing the essence of good novel where each participant's story adds a unique plot and twist. Most of humanities students, they do their research on they use method qualitative method, this particular method, right? And one way or the other you might be doing that qualitative research, right? Then we have quantitative method. So by the word you can understand quantitative means the numbers game, right? And imagine yourself, you're a mathematician decoding the universe secret, and what you'll do, you'll like collect data and of course crunch numbers and find a pattern. So that was all about research methods. See, there are so many things that we are going to talk about. And again, the very important part, and it's like 100% that you're gonna get one question from all these steps. Well, there are like sometimes they mention 8 step, 10 step, and here I have mentioned 12 steps. So you should not miss a single one, and we'll have a very depth discussion on steps of research, where we'll talk about topic, then we'll talk about its problem, then its objective, we talk about sampling, we'll talk about data analysis, then reporting, and all these things we're going to have a depth discussion on. Imagine we are embarking on a journey through the fascinating world of research, a journey where curiosity meets methodology and knowledge is born, right? So here in unit second will be your guides through the steps of research, and of course from picking a topic that sparks your interest to communicate your findings to the world. Remember, if you complete this session, steps of research, then you will know how to do a proper research, right? So what you do when you have decided that you're going to do the research, so what is the first step that you're gonna take? Of course, you're gonna do what? Everything starts from where? With selecting a topic, right? Imagine it like choosing your favorite book. You want something that excites your curiosity, right? And similarly, your research topic should be something that excites your intellectual taste. Next, you're gonna be identifying the research problem. It's like putting on your detective hat and figuring out what's missing in this grand puzzle of knowledge. So every Sherlock needs a mystery to solve, right? And you are a kind of Sherlock. And every researcher needs a problem to tackle, right? And then we're gonna have depth discussion on literature review. Like think of it as a treasure hunt through the wisdom of scholars who have walked this path before you, and what knowledge nugget can you dig up from this scholarly minds, right? You're gonna just explore all the important article, books, and everything related to your topic. That'll be your literature review. And then of course after that, what you'll be narrowing down your focus by specifying the objective or purpose, then identifying variables and creating a conceptual framework, and that is very important. And of course we're going to be breaking it down into bite-sized pieces, and it's like building the skeleton of your research. And variable is very important. There we'll also talk about like independent variable, dependent variable, all this stuff. How can you control these variable, manipulate these variable, test your hypothesis? All these are very important. Then we'll be talking about how to form hypothesis, where actually we start making educated guesses like a scientific fortune teller, right? Predicting the outcomes. And we'll be talking about null hypothesis, then hypothesis, all these stuff we're gonna talk about. And we'll also talk about what error occurs in hypothesis, all these stuff. Very important session that you should attend. Anyway, then we'll just craft the research design, and that methodology is very important. So picture it as the blueprint for your research project, the master plan that guides you through the entire process. And moving on to conducting sampling, it's like picking a representative slice of cake to taste, right? And you can't eat the whole thing, right? But you want to get a flavor of the entire drink. So that sampling we're gonna talk about, like probability sampling, non-probability sampling, cluster, snowball, all these stuff we're gonna talk about. And that's very important session, because one question comes in the always from this sampling session that you should pay more attention. But anyway, then we have next step, which is like data collection and of course verifying data. These are very important part of our research. And how do you gather information, and how can you ensure it's trustworthy? So these important thing you should be careful of when you collect data. And once you have got your data, then what is the next process? To analyze it, right? It's time for data analysis and hypothesis testing. Think of it as the moment of truth. Does your hypothesis stand strong, or is it just time for a revision, right? And then we have generalization and interpretation of data, and which take us to the broader picture. How can your findings be applied to the real world, and what stories do the number tell, right? And finally, what we'll just wrap it up by what? Reporting and evaluating research. And it's like the putting the finishing touches on your masterpiece. And how do you present your finding in a way that captivate your audience? You write research, you write article, all these are very important step in reporting and evaluating research. And then last but not least, we're going to delve into the communicating the research findings and possibly recommendation. So it's very important, like when you share your research by article writing, research paper, all these stuff are the part of communicating the research findings, right? And here you might ask yourself, like, how can you share your newfound knowledge with the world, and what suggestions can you offer based on your research? So that is all about research steps that we're going to talk about in our session, right? Then we have another part which is called research writing there. And here in these sessions, we'll be exploring two key aspects. First, thesis and article writing, and the different, styles of referencing. And first, we're just gonna, unravel the mysteries of crafting a perfect thesis, the roadmap of your research journey. And of course, we'll also try to understand the format of the thesis is like, deciphering the code to present your research in a structured and effective way. Then we'll be talking about the art of writing article. It's a very important skill that every researcher needs to master, and there we're gonna just learn how to communicate your findings with clarity and impact. It's not just about data, it's about telling a compelling story, right? And to add our finishing touch, we're gonna talk about is various styles of referencing like APA, MLA, Chicago notes, and bibliography. Then we'll talk about other system like Chicago author date and Harvard system. So these are kind of important tools to give credit where it's due and maintain the integrity of your research, right? And at the end of the session, we'll just talk about the research ethics. And remember, it's very important, and sometime you get question based on research ethics as well. Anyway, so this fascinating world of research ethics is quite important. Now I know the term might sound a bit daunting, but don't worry, we are going to break it down into very small pieces, and you'll understand every single step. As you can see, all the topics are there in research ethics that we're going to have a depth discussion in our session on research. But anyway, let me just brief it out. Think of research ethics as the compass that guides us through the vast landscape of academic exploration. It's like the normal code of the research realm, and that ensure that our quest for knowledge is not only meaningful but also conducted with integrity and responsibility. And of course, in this unit, we'll be also, putting on our ethical detective hats, like exploring various aspects that make up the backbone of ethical research, like from understanding the importance of research integrity to navigating the tricky waters of intellectual property rights. And we all this gonna discuss. And of course, we'll be just talking about, about the fine line between gathering data and respecting the individual involved. We'll talk about updating informed consent and protecting anonymity and respecting confidentiality and privacy. And these are very important things before when you do your research. And we'll also be addressing about some of the no-go zones like data fabrication, falsification, and the dreaded very important stuff, plagiarism. Right, it's like the learning rules of engagement in the scholarly battlefield. These are very important that we're going to talk about. So guys, that's all the introduction on unit 2, teaching aptitude. And next we're going to talk about, in our next session, we will be taking communication, which is I think our unit 4, right? And unit third is about reading comprehension, that we won't have a long introduction based on that. Again, I want to tell you that it's just an introduction, and from our next session, we'll be just diving, deep into each concepts and topics of what you have in your unit second. But anyway, thank you so much, and don't forget to subscribe the channel and enroll into a course which is like very well structured, and you'll get so many questions on each topic. It's very important that you should enroll, because we have curated this whole entire course in 250 hours, and if you do that, then net is not far, you will definitely pass. Anyway, thank you so much, and bye bye.